Over the past few years alone, the gaming industry as a whole has experienced a wide range of highs and lows. But I feel as if all those events leading up to this very moment will change the gaming world as we once knew it. But let's break that all down up next. What's going on, guys? It's Kalo, and I'm here to give you the lowdown on all things gaming. And if you're new here, feel free to subscribe to this channel for weekly video game news content. Drop a like on the video, and welcome to the Level Up. So bear with me as we travel through the past few years within gaming. So I guess you can kind of chalk this video up as this retrospective / gaming news hybrid. For those of you who've stuck around this channel long enough, I may sound like a broken record here, but the gaming industry, while on the surface seems like it's thriving and all is well, real ones know there's a big problem within this space. I mean, hey, how many times this past year alone did we cover various layoffs from companies, data breaches, delays, cancellations, studio closures, and I know I missed a few in between. But I think it's safe to say the gaming industry, at least as of right now, is on the verge of collapsing in on itself. And this is all due to self-inflicted wounds. I've been playing video games for quite some time, and I've seen the industry evolve so much, and I'm only 28 years old. And that goes without saying, I could only imagine what people think who are just a few more years older than me. Back when I was a kid, gaming kind of felt like it was something to entertain my feeble young mind, and it was just something, simply put, that was fun. Now, games nowadays are fun, but most games back then were passion projects from the people that made them. And sure, money was a factor in the grand scheme, but today, money is at the root of all motives. Companies nowadays are focused on that line going up, and I can always point you back to videos I've done talking about layoffs and outright weird business strategies that further back this point. And I also think for every one of me who is constantly yapping week after week about this problem, and what we as the consumers would like to see, there are countless more with much bigger audiences. But honestly, all the words I've been saying and many others like me, those words fall on deaf ears, and companies just ignore that. I mean, quite honestly, we're giving them the cheat code. They're just not listening. This is because they're focused on taking advantage of the consumer, but at the end of the day, they're the ones that will always be so confused as to why their product or game isn't selling well. I mean, look at the PS5 Pro debacle. Let's not forget about good old Concord. The problems over at Xbox. I mean, just look at Ubisoft currently, who is basically imploding in on themselves right before our eyes. And again, that's all because of poor business choices. Speaking of Ubisoft, Star Wars Outlaws is a prime example of a company doing what they think is best. And they chose to not only ignore fans of their games, but Star Wars fans. I'm one of those Star Wars fans. I just know that's the wrong thing to do. This is kind of like that whole high ground situation, and yes, Ubisoft ends up in the lava. On paper, Star Wars Outlaws should have been a massive hit for them, because it was a concept many fans have been clamoring for. A true open world game set within the Star Wars universe, where you as the player are this badass bounty hunter. Now, I do think Star Wars Outlaws is an alright game, but that goes without saying. There are a lot of flaws. But I can't help but see this game released in such a buggy mess. And it was launched in an incomplete state. That's because of the idea of future expansions, which again would earn them more money. So this is when consumers voted with their wallet, and the game went on to sell only 1 million copies. Which, back in the day, that would have been crazy. But as far as today's standards for this massive AAA game, yeah, that ain't good whatsoever. I will also save you the AAA game conversation because it's one I've had so many times, but some words from the Epic Games CEO caught my eye today, and that's kind of why I wanted to make this video. Quote, one of the manifestations of that change we're seeing right now is that a lot of games are released with high budgets, and they're not selling nearly as well as expected, whereas other games are going incredibly strong. What we're seeing is a real trend where players are gravitating towards the really big games where you can play with more than their friends. I don't know, I just kind of think this further backs the point that publishers can kind of let off the gas a little bit when spending money for their next big game. I also think every game that comes out week to week, month to month, doesn't need to be this 30-hour plus grand scale adventure. We can dumb it down. Games like Pal World, Content Warning, Phasmophobia, Valheim, and so many others prove that you can release a game that could go on to find success, as long as it's fun, the mechanics work, and the game launches in a complete state, or very close to it. I don't know, I guess I'm just on my soapbox today, but I do hope the gaming industry wakes up and kind of realizes that gameplay should always come first when it comes to the next big titles ahead. But with all that being said, I'm gonna pass this off to you guys. Do you think the industry changes, or is this just me holding out blind hope? I hope it does, because there's gonna be a big crash. Someone's gonna suffer, and oddly enough, I'm wearing a Sega shirt here, Sonic shirt. They've made a ton of bad choices, but that goes without saying. It definitely needs to change. But that about does it here. I've been Kalo, I gave you the lowdown on all things gaming, and if you're new here, feel free to subscribe to this channel for weekly video game news content, drop a like on the video, and this has been the Level Up.